Hello and welcome to today's class. Thank you so much for joining. So today we're going to go through a movement practice that's a little slower and a little more gentle and a little less challenging. So this is a perfect class for someone who's maybe starting yoga and wants to go a little slower as you're learning. Or if you just had a really challenging week, and sometimes when we've already been really challenged in our day-to-day life, sometimes we don't need to be challenged on our mat. Sometimes what we really need is to just slow down a little bit. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to stay sitting up so that you can hear me better, but I'm going to invite you to lie down on your back on your mat and bend your knees so that the soles of your feet connect to that solid surface beneath you. And as you lie down and connect to that solid surface beneath you, bring your awareness to not only your feet resting on your mat, but also the back of your pelvis, your sacrum, and let it feel heavy and grounded and weighted. And then your shoulder blades, the back of your hands as you open your palms up to the sky. And the back of your head. Allow your busy brain to just settle back into your skull, onto your mat. And let it be heavy. Let it rest there. Let it be held. And now we're just going to connect with our breath. So connecting and becoming aware of your physical body resting on the solid surface and also connecting to your breath are two of the quickest ways to become grounded in this present moment and to help settle our busy mind that's off in the future and ruminating the past. So bring your hands, actually your palms, to your low belly and try to soften your belly so that as you inhale, you'll feel your belly expand into your hands. And as you exhale, you feel it contract and move towards your spine, towards your mat, towards earth. And so just taking a few breaths here, inhaling, feel the belly rise. And exhaling, feeling the belly contract. And so just connecting with that rhythmic movement of inhale and exhale. And with each breath, just feel the body settling a little bit easier into your mat. Begin to feel the breath flow a little easier as well. Sometimes we might notice little catches or glitches in our breath. We might also notice that as we begin to connect with this diaphragmatic breath of the belly rising and falling, that we realize that we've been holding tension in our belly and we've been breathing shallow breaths in our upper chest, which puts us into stress mode. So this deep belly breath can help us to connect to the parasympathetic nervous system, or that rest and digest nervous system, where we tend to calm down. And that's what we want in our life, more of those times where we can be calm and settled. Just a couple more breaths here. Just feeling the rise and fall of the breath. Feeling the rise and fall of the belly. And then we're going to begin a little bit of movement. So as you're lying on your back with knees bent, draw your right knee in towards your chest and wrap your arms around. Now if it's difficult for you to grab your shin, you can also grab the back of the knee and then slowly extend your left leg straight. So you're going to notice here, and your head is down, you're going to notice here that you might have some tension in your hips. It might be in your outer hip, might be in your hip flexor on the left side. Take one more breath here, just noticing sensations. And then gently draw both knees in. And you can actually lift your head here and draw your forehead towards your knees. And then release your head down and extend your right leg straight as you hold onto the left. So again, each side might be different. You might be feeling a really gentle opening in this hip flexor. You might be feeling that you're really tight in the left side hip. And in fact, you might be holding onto the back of your thigh or the back of your knee if it's hard for you to reach your shin. Take one more breath here, and then we draw both knees in once again. And you can rock from side to side if this feels comfortable for you, so that you can give your low back a little massage. And then we're going to roll to the right into fetal position. And just let your body settle here for a breath or two. And then we're going to press into the floor and come up to a seat. And as you come up to a seat, we're actually going to go right into tabletop position. So that's just knees stacked under hips and hands stacked right underneath your shoulders. So you're going to look at your shoulders and have your hands right under your shoulder so that your hands might almost be as wide as your mat. We're going to start with the tops of the feet or the toenail side of your feet down on your mat and spreading your fingers wide so that all 10 fingers and fingerprint pads are pressing down into the mat. And then lift through your shoulders. Actually, I'm going to take my sweater off so you can see shoulders. So rather than being sunk into your shoulders, lift up, and as you do that, you'll notice the shoulder blades roll or slide towards the armpits, and that's what we want. That's the more ideal position for our shoulders to stay safe. So we're going to connect with our breath here. Really simple to do in simple poses to get used to that idea of connecting with your breath. So as you inhale, we begin to open the front body by letting the back arch and lifting the head and our tail. And then as we exhale, we begin with the belly, drawing the belly in, letting the head drop, chin moves towards the chest, and round your back up towards the ceiling. And we just keep oscillating between these two postures of cat and cow. Opening the front body, we inhale, make space for breath. And as we exhale, slowly dropping the chin and rounding the back, pressing into the hands to lengthen. And moving with your breath. And see if you can take your whole inhale to land in your final position of cow. And your whole exhale to get into your final position of cat. So we're just not moving quickly, and we're slowing down the movement as well as the breath to help slow down the nervous system. So on this next round, we're going to add some movement of our feet. So as you inhale, we come forward into cow pose. And as we exhale, begin to round, we're going to curl our toes under and press into the toes, the hands. And then as we inhale, slide your feet back out again so that the toenail side is down on your inhale. And exhale, slide your toes under, press into your feet, press into your hands, draw your belly in. One more round, inhale, open the front body to make space for the breath, open the throat. And exhale, curl the toes under, drop your chin, round the back, press away from the floor. And then we're simply going to come to a neutral tabletop where your spine is neither arched or rounded, or we're just in a neutral position with a very gentle natural curve in the low spine. And then from here, we're going to move into extended tabletop. So that begins to help us work with our core, and we're also working with asymmetrical movements, which really helps us to ground as well. So I'm going to give you some options here, depending where you're at with your mobility in your body, if you're dealing with an injury. So we're going to start by just curling the left toes under and extending that left leg straight out. And just pressing into the toes. So this might be where your leg stays. And then we've got left leg extended. We're going to extend right arm. So notice how that feels in your body. So you can stay right here, or you might float that back leg up. And then you can also alternate. If you've got something going on in shoulders, maybe only the leg is up. And we're not looking for height. What we're looking for is length, and creating as much length as you can. And the same if you have your arm up, the same on the arm. We're not looking to lift really high and strain the shoulders. We're looking to create length, not only in our limbs, but in our spine. Take one more breath here. And as we exhale, we're going to draw knee and elbow toward one another. Curl our spine up, just like you did in your cat pose. And release hand and knee down. Let's do our second side. Extend the right leg straight out. And take a moment to just stretch into that leg. Into the calf. Into the arch of your foot. And then decide what's going to happen on this side. You might extend your arm and float up your leg. Or you might just have only leg or only arm up. You decide what is working for your body today and what level of challenge your body is ready for and what is best going to serve you. So again, looking for length, take a big inhale. As we exhale, we're drawing the belly away from the floor. Take one more inhale, and as we exhale, draw knee and elbow toward one another. Curl up, lift that knee. And float them both back down. So if you've had a challenging week, perhaps you're feeling some tension in your shoulders. So let's address that. So as we inhale, I'm going to start with my right hand. Reach up to the sky. And as you exhale, thread that arm underneath. Bend your left elbow so that your ear and shoulder can come down to the floor. So we're going to move in and out a couple of times. Inhale, reach up. And exhale. Extend and slide that right hand away from you. Let's do one more. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, slide it away. Let's stay here for a couple of breaths. And you might feel some opening in your upper back here between your shoulder blades. You might feel some tension releasing in your neck. And this should not be painful. This should be gentle. On our next inhale, we're going to rise up, reach to the sky, and float the hand down. Take a moment in your tabletop just to feel how that feels in your body. How maybe one side is more awake than the other. Let's do our second side. Left arm reaches up. As we exhale, slide it under. We're moving dynamically for the first 3. Inhale, reach up, twist. Exhale, slide it through. One more. Inhale, reach up and twist. And exhale, we slide it through. This time we stay. Nice big breaths into your upper back. And on our next inhale, we're going to rise up and float the hand down. Okay, so we've had you on your knees for a little while. We're going to move into downward facing dog. Now, depending what's happening in your body, there's some variations that you can take. So your downward dog might actually be a puppy dog, where you keep your hips over your knees and just extend your arms out. So this is pretty active. I'm having to work my shoulders to keep my head in line with my arms. Or you might just bring your hands slightly ahead of your shoulders, curl your toes under, and slowly begin to lift your knees. In fact, let's pause here for a moment and just find our core muscles, those muscles in our torso that connect our upper body and our lower body, our arms and our legs. Take one more breath. And then slowly exhale. Keep your knees bent, but press the top of the mat away from you. So my belly is moving towards my thighs. I'm still high up on my toes. And then I'm going to take my shoulder blades and try to slide them towards my armpits. So rather than being like this, we're making some space for our neck, which is safer for our shoulder joint. And now I'm going to begin to press my thighs up and back. And as I do so, lifting my sit bones a little higher. So I'm going to stay high on my toes here. Sometimes people are in a hurry to get their heels down, and then their down dog looks more like a half a push-up. So stay up high on your toes, keep your knees bent. So we want to create a long line for our spine. Turn your head from one side to the other. Free up tension in your neck. Take one more breath here. And then we're going to walk our feet towards our hands. Keep your knees bent as much as they need to be bent. And maybe bending so much that your belly is on your thighs. And your hands, I have really long arms, but your hands might be on your shins. They might be on your ankles. They might be on the floor. If you can't touch the floor, just bend your knees some more. So here we want to let the neck relax. The top of the head spills towards the earth. And become aware of your feet being grounded. In fact, if you've got your knees bent enough that you can touch your feet, take your palms and press your feet down. Turn your head from side to side. Bring that space, that web between your thumb and your index finger to your heels and press your heels down. Feel what it feels like to have your feet grounded and equal weight in them. And then we're going to slide our hands up our shins and we're lengthening. We lift halfway, we lift our heart, the breath lifts our torso up, and we're creating length from our sit bones out the crown of our head so that our torso, our spine is basically parallel to the floor. As we exhale, belly draws in, makes more space for us to fold forward. And then bend the knees deeply. Press into both strong feet. In fact, pretend you're spreading your feet apart. Circle your arms wide and rise all the way up. Reach up, look up to the sky. Press your palms together at your heart center. So we come into mountain pose. And look at your feet. Bring your feet parallel and hip distance apart. With your hands pressing together, take a moment with your thumb towards your heart, fingertips up to the sky. Take a moment and gaze at your pinky fingers, at the tips of your pinky fingers. And notice how we do that everything else in the periphery falls out of focus. So we can think of this bringing attention to our gaze, which is called drishti, as a way to focus our mind and let all the other clutter in our mind fall away out of focus. And that can be really grounding and really help us with our challenging days. Just shifting your gaze to a one-pointed focus. And let everything else fall away. Let's drop the hands. And we're going to move through some sun salutations, and I'll give you some options if the classic sun salutations don't work for something that's going on in your body. So let's inhale, reach up to the sky. And as we exhale, bend your knees, bring your hands to your thighs, and sit down in chair pose. So it's like we're pretending we're sitting in a chair, and as we're doing this, we're creating that action, a muscular action, as though our feet are spreading away from one another, even though they're not actually moving. Take an inhale here, and as we exhale, we fold forward, let your hands slide down. As you inhale, bring your hands up your shins and lengthen from your crown to your sit bone, from your sit bone to your crown. As we exhale, we slide the hands down, bend the knees. We're going to step our right foot back and come into a lunge position and drop that knee. So if you have any knee issues and you can't kneel, you could also keep your knee lifted. And I would suggest having either some yoga blocks or even some books, hardcover books, to place your hands on, which helps make this pose a little more accessible. I forgot to bring my blocks to the recording, so we're going to pretend I have blocks. And again, if you can lower your knee, lower your knee. So we can stay right here if this is feeling good for you. You can also bring your hands up to your knee. So what we want to avoid is having our knee way extended beyond our ankle. Whenever we stack our joints, it keeps those joints safer because we're stacking weight. So if your knee is way extended beyond your foot, just bring your foot a little further forward, or your back leg back a little bit more. So you also have an option to reach up to the sky and lengthen up. But keep the belly contained. Sometimes we want to overarch the back in our attempt to look really cool in our yoga pose. But we want to keep this contained so we're not compressing or overarching our low back. Take one more inhale wherever your position may be. And as we exhale, the hands come back down. We're going to lift that back knee up and we're going to step forward. So stepping that right foot up to the top of our mat to meet our left foot. Knees can be bent here. We're going to inhale, lift the heart, lengthen, let that breath lengthen you in both directions. And the exhale, we're going to bend our knees, plant our hands, step back with our left foot, and do exactly the same thing we did on the first side. So bad knees, you can keep the knee up. Otherwise, let's exhale, drop that back knee. Option to keep your hands here on your blocks or books. Option to bring both hands to your front knee. Remember, we're containing that belly. And you might feel a little stretch in this hip flexor. Option to reach up to the sky. Lift your gaze slightly. You don't have to look up to the ceiling and crank your neck, but just lifting. This becomes wherever we shift our gaze, or our drishti, influences the energy. So when we're looking slightly up, it's an uplifting energy. Take one more breath here. And as we exhale, bring your hands down. And we're going to step back into downward facing dog. So some of you, that might mean coming into tabletop and then lifting your knees. Some of you, it might mean lifting the back knee and just stepping back into downward facing dog. So again, bring your awareness to your fingers. Sometimes we're so busy thinking about straightening our legs that we forget that we're not even pressing our hands down to give us that ground. Remember, you can have your knees bent. So from here, we're going to inhale forward to plank pose, which looks like a high push-up. So your high push-up might be like this, with your knees down to support you. This is lots of work right here. And again, I'm creating that action of sliding my shoulder blades towards my armpits rather than being sunk like this. This doesn't even look comfortable, right? So press the floor away, slide your shoulder blades towards your armpits and lift up through your upper back. And then we're going to lower down all the way to our mat. So there's a couple of ways you can do that. You can do it from your full plank. I'm going to suggest, because we want to slow things down and be a little less challenging, that you can lower down knees, chin, chest. So knees are down. I'm going to keep my bum up in the air, lower my chin, my chest, and then slide straight out. So my hands are grounded, but I'm not going to push up with my hands. Tops of my feet are pressing down so that my knees are lifted. And as I inhale, it's like I'm sliding my chin forward, lengthening the spine and lifting up long through the back of the neck. And my hands are grounded, but they're not pressing me up. It's the back muscles that are working here. Take one more breath. And as we exhale, release down. Let your forehead touch for a moment. And then we're going to press up and back through the knees and exhale into child's pose. So child's pose, the sit bones are moving towards the heels. Arms can be extended. And you can bring your knees wide to make space for your belly here. And if you've got some tension in your knees, you might put a blanket behind your knees or just stay up a little higher and bring your forehead down. And you can put a block under your forehead as well so that your forehead has somewhere to rest, which is very grounding for the mind. And then as we inhale, we're going to rise into our tabletop, curl our toes under, lifting the knees into our downward dog. And remember, we're pushing the mat away, so our belly moves towards the thighs. We're sliding the shoulder blades towards the armpits and then pressing the thighs up and back, which might mean your knees might come close to straightening, or they might come all the way straight if you're not tight in your hamstrings. But it's not necessary for your legs to be straight or for your heels to be down. Take an inhale. As you exhale, we're going to walk our feet to the top of our mat, bending your knees as much as you need to. Let your head drop. Slide your hands up your shins as you inhale. Let the breath inflate the upper body like it's filling with helium and getting long in both directions. As we exhale, we fold, we bend the knees, and we rise up. Look up and draw into your heart center. And release. Let's take a couple breaths in mountain pose again. And if you liked that drishti or that gaze that I suggested, you can do it again. Bring your focus to your little fingertips. Let everything else fall away out of focus into your periphery. And just find your breath here. Your inhale and your exhale. And then release your hands. Let's keep moving and warming up the body and moving that energy around the body. We're going to move into chair pose. So hands can come to your hips here. And I'll turn this way. We take an inhale, get long, and as we exhale, we're going to sit down in our chair. Remember, we're creating that action as though our feet are sliding away from one another as we sit in our chair. We're going to inhale, maybe we reach our hands up or straight ahead, and then as we exhale, fold forward, release that. As we inhale, we're going to lift the heart and sit back. And then maybe reach the hands up, press into both feet, and come all the way up. Let's do one more like that. And maybe we can add on, hands can stay on your hips. Or you can inhale, reach the arms up, and exhale, sit down. Stay here for an inhale, keep pressing your feet apart. And exhale, fold forward, lift the sit bones. Take an inhale here. Exhale, sit the hips low, lean back. Inhale, reach up. Exhale here. And then inhale, reach all the way up. And exhale, release your hands down to your heart center. So we're going to keep moving here. Let's bring hands to the hips again. We're going to move into chair pose. Taking an inhale, exhaling, sit down, and then stepping back with our left foot. So our left foot is kind of at a 45-degree angle here. And we're going to rotate our upper body towards the top of our mat. You can have a little bit of space between your feet, left and right. So we're moving into warrior one. So start with your hands on your hips. We're just going to bend the knee and then straighten the knee. So again, like we did before, we want to contain the low belly when we were in our lunge position so that we're not overly arching. And let's bring our right hand to the small of the back, and as we inhale, let's reach the left hand up and bend our front knee. And exhale, let's come back out. We're just going to do that a couple of times, and then we'll stay. Inhale, reach up, and exhale, straighten and release. This time as we inhale and move into our warrior one, let's stay here and let's reach both arms up now. So again, if you're having any issues in your low back, you can actually lean a little bit forward so that you don't cause any compression in your low back. Take one more inhale here, press firmly into both feet, press your palms together, draw to your heart center. And then we're going to open up for warrior two. So we're opening, pivoting the back foot open a little bit more, maybe creating a little bit wider stance. And then floating the arms up into our warrior two. So take a moment to check in with your, first of all, with your knee. Look down at your knee and see if your knee is stacked over top of your ankle. Very often it wants to slide into center, so we're going to muscularly draw that knee back. Float your arms up, check in with your shoulders. Are your shoulders all scrunched up? Slide your shoulder blades down your back and extend through your fingers. Gaze over your front fingertips. And then press both feet firmly down, so we're not just resting, both legs are working and active. And then let's turn that front palm up to the sky. And as we inhale, reach up, let your back arm either come to the small of your back or to your thigh. And we're going to make space for our breath. When we're stressed and anxious and fearful, we create a lot of tension in our side body. So we're going to release some of that tension so that our breath can flow. So prana can flow. Prana is life force in and out of the body. Take one more breath. And then as we exhale, the arms come back to our starting position. Straighten that front leg for a moment. Bring your left hand to your hip. We're going to move into triangle. So we're going to pretend someone's pulling your wrist and making you reach and really lengthen that right side body. We just made it long in peaceful warrior. Let's keep it long. And then just float that hand down to your shin. And now before we go any further in our triangle, tiny micro bend in your knee so that you don't hyperextend. And then we're going to turn the left side body up to the ceiling. You might even gaze up to the ceiling. And then extend the arm straight up. If you're feeling ungrounded, you can also turn your head to your front foot to feel a little more grounded. Take one more breath here, really reaching through both arms, and then come all the way up. Let's rotate our feet. Rotate on your heel, just pivot on your heel, so that your feet are now parallel and you're facing the long side of your mat. And we're going to move into a wide-legged forward fold. So we're going to keep it nice and easy. Let's bring your thumbs to your sacrum, hands, fingers wrapping around your around your hips. And as we inhale, think about lifting the heart up. So we're lifting, so we're creating a little bit of a back bend here, opening the front body. And then as we exhale, we're going to fold forward. And I'm going to slide the hands down the back of the thighs, like you're giving yourself a little love for your hard week you've had. And tiny micro bend in your knees here as well. Both feet are pressing down so the legs are active. This isn't a passive stretch. And let your hands rest wherever they come. So it might be your shins. It might be your ankles. It might be the floor. You might even wrap your peace fingers around your big toe. Or you might just have your hands resting on the floor. Bring your awareness to your exhales here. We're breathing through the nose. And then we're going to walk our hands up, coming to fingertips or hands on a block. We're going to come into a little twist. So let's ground the left hand down and get our spine nice and long, like our halfway lift from sit bones to crown, reaching. And then we're inhale, twisting to our right. And that right hand might just stay on your hip or it might extend up to the sky. And then we exhale, we come down. Let's switch hands. Ground your right hand. Inhale, get long through the spine. And as we exhale, we're twisting to the left, maybe extending the left arm up, maybe keeping it on your hip. Exhale. Come back down. Let's do one more time to each side. Inhale, twist to the right. And exhale, bring it back down. This time we're twisting left. Inhale, twist left. And exhale, bring it down. Take an inhale, lengthen. And as we exhale, fold, whatever that looks like for you. Bring your hands to the back of your calves. And as we inhale, leading with our heart, pressing into both feet, we're coming all the way up. Hamstrings are working. Beautiful. Release your hands, close your eyes here. Just notice your breath. Notice this present moment. You're right here on your mat. And then let's pivot that right foot back to the top of your mat. Bend that front knee. Hands come down. Let's step back, downward facing dog. Let's come down to child's pose. We want to keep this sattvic. We don't want to create too much heat. Forehead touches down. Let's inhale, come up. Either stay in child's pose or come into downward facing dog. And we're going to flow through a little vinyasa. So coming forward to plank pose, staying lifted through your shoulders. And then lower your knees. So I'm going to show you a different way to lower down this time. You can uncurl your toes and just lower all the way down, keeping your elbows close. Inhale, lift the heart. Lengthen up. Exhale, release down. Take an inhale, and as we exhale, either press back to child's pose or go press back right to downward facing dog. You get to choose. Take one nice breath here, lengthening the body. And then as you exhale, step or walk to the top of your mat. Lengthen your spine as the heart floats up. Exhale, belly draws in, we bow. And inhale, circle your arms wide, reach up to the sky, look up and draw energy to your heart center. Let's go ahead and do our second side now. So hands to your hips. Did I step back with my left foot? I must have. Hands to your hips. Take an inhale. And as we exhale, sitting down in our chair pose. And then we're going to step back with our right foot. So we're going to start with warrior one. So our foot's just like a 45-degree angle. And then hands can stay on your hips here. Actually, no, we're going to move in and out dynamically like we did on the first side. So bring that left hand to the small of your back And as you inhale, bend the front knee, reach up to the sky. And as you exhale, straighten your front knee, bring your arm down. 2 more times like that. Inhale, reach up, lengthen up. It's almost like we're pressing the tailbone down towards the floor with our back arm. And then exhale, come back to your start. Last one, inhale, reach up. And exhale, come down. This time as we inhale, we're going to move into the pose and stay here. And engaging both feet pressing down. Let's release the left arm and reach up to the sky. Take an inhale, lifting the gaze slightly. Exhale, press your hands together, draw them to your heart center. Pause here for a moment. And then we're opening up for warrior 2. So that back foot is opening a little wider. Bending the front knee, check if it's right over your ankle or if it's dropped into center, and then gently float your arms up and extend. Make sure that you're not tensing in your shoulder blades. Release your shoulders away from your ears, gaze over your front fingers in your warrior 2. And rather than just resting on your feet, press them down so the whole leg becomes active and supports you with your strength of your strong legs. On our next breath, let's turn that front palm up, peaceful warrior. Reach up to the sky, making space in that left side body. And this back arm can either just be resting on your thigh or come to the small of your back. Take one more breath here, and then we exhale. Come back to our warrior 2. Straighten that front leg. We're going to move into triangle. Sometimes it's helpful to bring the back foot in just a little for triangle. So let's bring our right hand to our hip. Let someone pull that left wrist, get really, really long on that left side body. Let your hand float to your shin. Right arm floats up, looking up to the ceiling. Micro bend in that front knee. And notice that we're trying to keep both side bodies nice and long here. Sometimes we want to collapse. Think about keeping the bottom side ribs nice and long. One more breath here. Press into both feet. We come up. Turn your toes, pivot your toes so that you're facing the long side of your mat again and your feet are parallel. Or if anything, even a little pigeon toe. And so we're going to come into our forward fold again. I'm going to give you options. You can do your forward fold starting with hands on your hips like we did the first time, sliding down your calves. Some of you that have more open shoulders and no shoulder injuries might intertwine your fingers behind your back and give a little heart opening. Either way, we start the inhale by lengthening the heart up, lengthening the spine. And as we exhale, we slowly fold forward. If you've intertwined your fingers, you might lift your hands away from your bum. And if you slid your hands down your thighs, your hands might come to the floor or rest on your shins. And spill the top of the head towards the earth. Microbend in your knees. Feet are actively pressing down. Awareness to your exhales. Take one more breath. And we use our inhale to come up with a nice strong back, leading with our heart. Release your hands. Soften your chin. Maybe close your eyes. And just take a moment for this present moment awareness. Take a breath here. Notice where you are. Notice how you feel. Maybe you even feel some tingling of energy moving around your body, maybe in your palms or your feet or your forehead. Take one more breath. Then we pivot our left toes to the top of our mat. Bend your knee. Bring your hands down. And we're going to step back. Downward facing dog. You could also come into child's pose. Or we come into our plank and lower down for cobra. So lengthening up on our Inhale, extending the legs, making them so long that your knees lift up off the mat. And exhale, come down. If you've gone into child's pose, come forward onto your belly now. We're going to do a little bit of back bending work. So we're going to extend both arms straight out on the floor in front of us. This is really good. You tend to have a sore back. This is really good to help balance things out and strengthen the back. So this is really moving with the breath. So I have my forehead up so that you can hear me, but keeping your forehead down, bring your awareness to your right arm and your left leg. So opposite arm and leg. As you inhale, lengthen both of those as much as you can, right arm, left leg. And as you exhale, press into the floor and lift them both up. Stay here for an inhale. Use your exhale to release down. Second side, bring awareness to your left arm and your right leg. Use an inhale to get as long as you can. Use your exhale to press into the floor and come up. Stay here, extend on the inhale, and use your exhale to release down. One more time on each side. So right arm, left leg, awareness. Inhale to get long. The exhale, we press up and we stay here. Lengthen some more on the inhale. Release down on the exhale. Last one. Left arm, right leg. Use the inhale to get long. Use the exhale to press up. Stay here as you inhale, get a little longer, and release down on your exhale. Beautiful. Hands come under your shoulders, pressing up and back, child's pose. Release any tension in your back here. And you might even want to come into classic child's pose by letting your arms come alongside your shins so that your back can round more. And you can still have your knees a little bit apart to make space for the belly. One more breath here. And then we're going to bring our hands underneath us, tabletop. Curl our toes under, downward facing dog. Take one inhale here, get nice and long, and then as we exhale, walk our feet towards our hands. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to bow. And inhale, we rise up. Reach up, look up, get nice and long through your spine and draw into your heart center. Release your hands. Coming into mountain pose again. Taking a couple breaths here. Maybe you close your eyes, bring awareness into your feet. Pressing into the floor. Awareness to your breath, flowing in and out of the body. Take one more breath here. And release your hands. We're going to move into a little bit of balance. And we're going to start with tree pose. You can't see the backscape of where I am right now, but it is windows on three sides and I'm looking into the forest and it's just gorgeous. So we're going to move into tree. If you're beginning or you've got some injuries with hips, knees, or ankles, as I do, and balance is a bit of a struggle for you, you can actually use a wall. Now this beautiful wall behind me here is an 80-year-old barn door with some beautiful energy to it. It's not completely attached, so I can't completely lean on it, but you can step back against a wall with your whole back against your wall. Bring weight into your left foot. Spread your left toes wide as though so that you can see your yoga mat between each of your toes. And then bend the right knee. And we're going to externally rotate this right leg so that the knee is pointing out to the side. And this hip, sometimes we want to sink into the hip. Think about lifting up and creating length there. Now if you're at the wall, you can use the wall on your back, and you can bring that foot maybe to your shin, or maybe you keep your toes on the floor and just bring your foot to the side of your leg. Some of you, sorry, I'm too close to the wall. Some of you might actually bring your foot to your thigh. So whichever variation that you're doing, and just so I can talk and look around here, I'm going to keep my foot on the floor. Think about keeping your shoulder blades against the back and drawing this knee back as you stay lifted. So very few of us are going to get our leg against the wall, but it just gives you a little bit of feedback as you have some support with your balance as to where exactly your body is in space. If you're feeling pretty grounded, you can bring your hands to your heart center. You can also, to help with your balance, bring your arms wide with your palms facing up, and think about lifting up through that hip and lifting through the crown of your head. Some of you might even grow your tree and reach up to the sky. But feel rooted through that left foot, and lifted through the crown. And check in if you're breathing. Check in if you can soften your face. And then bring your hands through your heart center. And release back into your mountain pose. So stay at the wall. I'm just going to come forward so that you can hear me a little bit better through the microphone. And we're going to do second side. So spread those toes wide. Press that right foot down. We're going to do the same thing. If you're against the wall, just feel your shoulder blades gently touching on both sides of your buttocks. And then bend that left knee, rotate it out to the side. Again, lift up through that right hip. Decide where that foot's going to go. It can be with toes down. It can be on your shin. It can be your foot into your thigh. And you can keep your hands on your hips if you wish. And then we're thinking about pressing that knee back towards the back wall. And hands can come straight out. I always find when I'm having a bad balance day, palms up, arms extended helps with my balance. And you might think about reaching up to the sky, growing your tree branches. Taking one more breath here, breathing, softening the face. And then drawing into your heart center. And release back into mountain pose. Sorry, I was distracted by all the chickadees around these windows in the forest around me here today. So let's take a couple of breaths in mountain pose. Just inhaling and exhaling. And we're going to come into one more balance. And seeing all these birds, I really think we need to do eagle pose. And eagle pose for me is a really good pose, not only to challenge balance, which I greatly need, but it also helps me to really focus my mind. So we're going to start with our arms. We've got a few choices with arms. Spread your arms wide. And then we're bringing the right arm under the left and crossing. And here are your options. If you've got shoulder issues, you might just bring your palms to your shoulders and lift your elbows up a little bit. If you don't have shoulder issues, you might press the back of your hands together and lift your elbows. Or you might have the flexibility to wrap your arms around so that your palms come together. Whichever one is most appropriate for you, it doesn't matter which position you're in, we're going to think about sliding your shoulders down, because sometimes we do this. Slide the shoulders down and lift the heart up. So they're two opposite actions which help engage your core muscles, which will help you with the balance. Okay? So with right arm under left, the way we have it here, we're going to sit down in our chair and bring right leg over left. So you can wrap around if you have the flexibility. Otherwise, you can even rest your toe to help you balance here. And if you've taken the palms together or back of your hands together, you can even bring your thumb to your forehead, which for me really helps with focus. And you can sit down a little deeper. And we're trying to keep shoulders over our hips. Find a spot to gaze at to help you with your focus and with your balance. Take one more breath here. And then we're just going to rise up, spread our wings wide. And let's move into second side. This time, left arm comes under right. Whichever of those variations you're going to take. And as we exhale, we sit down. Left leg comes over right. And again, you can have your toes touching. You can wrap. But we're going to sit down. And maybe you're bringing a thumb to the forehead if you have your arms in this position. Slide your shoulder blades down. Lift the heart. Find your breath. Take one more breath here. And then we're going to rise up, spread our wings wide, ready for flight. And bring your hands to heart center. Take a moment's pause here. Find your breath. I've got one more balance we're going to do before we move down to the floor and begin to wind our class down for relaxation. So this is just a variation of Warrior 3, and you can take whichever, if you've practiced before, you can take whichever variation you wish. If you're a beginner, you can just do this variation. So extending your right leg straight out behind you, hands on your hips. We're simply going to rock forward, but what we want to avoid is bending at the waist. We want to keep the front body really open as we rock forward. And maybe your balance challenge is just rocking forward, bringing your toe back down, extending, rocking forward, bringing your toe back down. As you play, that standing leg is working really hard with the balance here, even though we might not be staying in our full Warrior 3 position. It's just working with the balance. So those muscles that stabilize the ankle are really working no matter how many times we touch our foot down. And let's all come back up into mountain pose. Just notice what you feel going on in the hip, on that left side especially, from your hip all the way to your ankle, because you were working those stabilizer muscles. Let's come to the right foot. Extend the left foot. So your toes are touching, hands can just be on your hips, or you can go ahead with the full variation of Warrior 3. And again, we're just working. I have an ankle injury here, so balance is always really hard for me on my right foot. So just playing, building strength in all of these stabilizer muscles, but keep open. So as you come back up, if you're going in and out, really think about lengthening. And maybe even bring your hand to that leg. Maybe bring your hand to both thighs as you're working with your balance here. And then let's all come back up, come into your mountain pose. So you can do really simple movements and work the muscles that need to be worked to become stronger, to increase your balance and your stability. You don't have to do crazy things in order to make that happen. Take one more breath in your mountain pose and we're going to wind it down. So let's inhale, reach to the sky. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway. And exhale, let's step back into downward facing dog. Now you can come straight into child's pose here. Or you might want to take one more flow and come forward to plank. Use your exhale to lower down. Use your inhale to open the front body in a back bend. And use your exhale to find downward facing dog. So we're going to take 3 resting breaths wherever you're at. You can be in child's pose, you can be in down dog. And then we're going to lower our knees if you're in down dog. And if you're in child's pose, you're going to come up and come to a seat. So we're going to move into a twist. And we're going to do it really simply. I know cross-legged can be really difficult for some people. Sorry, I'm deciding which twist I want to teach. So we're going to extend our legs straight. I think everybody can do this. Not everybody can sit cross-legged. So let's extend the legs straight, and with the legs straight, and you can have a little bend here, and maybe you need a blanket if you're really tight in your hamstrings and this is really pulling. Put a small towel or a blanket under your knees. And we're going to lift the toes, flex the feet so that toes point up to the sky, and we're reaching through our heels. And then we're going to reach both arms up to the sky. We're going to twist to our left. So what we're going to do is we're going to begin to twist and bring my right hand to the outside of that left leg, and my other hand can come out behind me and ground, or you can reach straight back. So take a look at your legs, make sure that your legs aren't shifting or your hips aren't shifting. We're not working that hard. And again, hand can be down or arm can be up. And so it's our belly that's helping us create this twist. And then come back to center. Let's do our second side. So the left hand is going to reach to the outside, and we're going to reach back with our right hand, either up in the air or down on the floor. Both feet are still flexed. Reach up to the sky, and let's just do a simple forward fold. And maybe your forward fold looks like this. That's okay. If you have the space to forward fold, and remember you can have a towel under your knees, keep the front body long. So we're not collapsing and curling up. We're keeping the front body long and just letting your hands come wherever they come. And maybe it's right here. This can be your forward fold. Some of you, if you have the flexibility, might reach all the way to your toes. Doesn't matter. What matters is what you're sensing in your hamstrings and in your back, and that you're not collapsing in order to reach a certain goal. Remember, today's class is not about goals and stress. This is about letting go and doing what your body needs and calming the nervous system. And then we're simply going to come back up. And we're going to bend both knees and bring the soles of your feet together. So again, we want to avoid collapsing like this right now. So you might have the soles of your feet together, your knees might be really high, and just supporting yourself right here. And as you sit nice and tall, you'll feel some opening in here as well as in the inner thighs. And if you're really flexible and your knees are coming all the way down, I want you to really think about pressing your feet together and creating some stability and strength there. And if you're one of those flexy people and you're pressing your feet together, you can also incorporate a forward fold. I've got a bit of a hip injury today, so my forward fold's not going very far, and that's okay. So wherever you're at, you're going to stay for one more breath, and then simply come back up. Stretch your legs out straight, and we're going to lie back down on your back. So bending the knees, lying down, draw your knees to your chest. Maybe you rock from side to side. That can feel really good. And then we're going to simply extend both soles of the feet up to the sky. So reaching through the heels, arms are at your side. We're simply going to lower the left leg nice and slow down to the floor as we reach through this right foot up to the sky. And you might notice, if you got some funky stuff going on in your hips, you might notice a little spot where it's kind of sketchy. This is a really good way to notice what's going on. So you're reaching through both feet in opposite directions. And then we're going to bring that leg back up. Let's do the right leg now. Slowly lowering it down as we reach through the left foot and the right foot, going in opposite directions. Notice how that side maybe feels different than the other. Bring that one back up. And now we're going to add arms into this movement. So we're going to lower the left leg. At the same time, we're going to lift the right arm up. So opposite arm leg, just like we did lying on our belly. So begin to slowly lower the left leg and reach the right arm overhead. It's kind of like walking, really, opposite arm, opposite leg. And once you reach there, really lengthen through that arm and leg. And then slowly come back to our starting position. And let's do right leg, left arm. So they're moving at the same time. Reaching, lengthening. And don't worry if your arm doesn't come to the floor. Just reach it to wherever it comes. And then really lengthen and get long in both that leg and arm. And your other opposite leg is still reaching up to the sky. So really simple movements, but it gives us an opportunity to notice any kind of little glitches in the body. Shoulders, hips, where your leg might waver, where you just feel some sensations. And just keep using one arm and the other arm with your opposite leg, creating that length once you get to your extended position, and then slowly coming back. Let's do one more time to each side. So we're really gently working our core here in case you haven't noticed what's going on because you're thinking about your breath or your arm and your leg. But keep extending and reaching. And this time as we come back to our starting position, we're simply going to bend both knees and exhale. And then use our inhale to extend our legs back up. I might be too close to the wall. Use your exhale to bring your legs wide, spreading them apart. Inhale, bring them back together. And exhale, bend your knees, press your thighs to your belly. Do 2 more rounds like this. This can become very nice and meditative. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bring them wide. Inhale, back together. And exhale, bend the knees. Inhale, straighten. The exhale brings the legs apart. Stretch. Inhale, back. And exhale, bend. This time wrap your arms around. Last chance to rock back and forth. Let your feet come down. Let your arms be wide. And we're just going to windshield wash our knees from side to side. So take an inhale and center. As you exhale, let your knees drop over to the left. And as you inhale, come back to center and let knees drop over to the right. Inhaling back to center and just using your breath to let the knees move from side to side. And then when you land with your knees on your left side, you're going to pause there. Let your head roll to the right and just let yourself soften into the pose. Staying for a couple of breaths here and make this be a passive pose. And use your inhale to come back to center. And exhale over to the other side. Let your head roll opposite of your knees. You can even close your eyes here. Soften your belly. And then inhale back to center. We're going to move into your final Shavasana by straightening the legs. You might want to grab socks or a blanket, maybe a sweater. It's kind of chilly where I am, so I'm going to grab a sweater. So take a moment To get yourself set up, you might even roll up a blanket or a towel and place it under your knees. Cover yourself with a blanket or a sweater. Keep your feet warm. We're going to have a nice little relaxation exercise in your Shavasana, and then we'll have a very brief meditation after Shavasana. So don't skip Shavasana. This is really important. This is one of the most important parts of your practice, really. So as you settle into your Shavasana, letting your body take up space, letting your feet be wide, letting your arms, palms facing up, letting your arms just gently come away from your sides, and letting your eyes float closed. So we're going to bring awareness to those contact points as we did at the beginning of class. So bring awareness to both your heels. Feel your heels weighted and resting on the floor, on your mat. Feel into the back of your pelvis, the sacrum, and feel the weight of your pelvis sinking into the floor. Feel your upper back resting, your shoulder blades. Feel the back of your arms, the back of your hands, your bones heavy. And feel the back of your head, your big heavy brain just sinking into your skull, resting, being held by that solid surface beneath you. Let your eyeballs become heavy in their sockets. Bring your awareness to your forehead and feel as though it's melting, sliding back, softening. Bring your awareness to your right jaw, to your left jaw. Let them soften and your teeth slightly part. Bring your awareness to your tongue and let the tip of your tongue just ever so gently touch the roof of your mouth like a dragonfly lighting on its perch. Bring your awareness to your throat. Let it soften and relax. Your heart center. Let it be open so that your breath can easily flow. Bring your awareness to your belly and release any tension that you might be holding there. Let it be soft. Let it receive the breath with the rise and fall of your inhalation and your exhalation. Bring awareness to your hips, your hip flexors. And notice if you're gripping. And can you soften your hip flexors? Releasing and letting go. Your thighs, your shins, your leg bones heavy, like river rock at the bottom of the creek trickling gently. Your heels sinking towards the earth. Now just allow yourself to be without doing in stillness. for the next few moments. Imagining yourself being surrounded by a golden sea of beautiful healing energy. And every inhale draws that beautiful golden light and energy into your body. And every exhale infuses every cell in your body, every tissue in your body with this healing light of energy. Staying in that space of calm, peaceful awareness. Just gently begin to draw your attention back to your body and the sensation of being supported by that solid surface beneath you. And as you feel that support begin to deepen your breath, and begin to move as though you're waking up from a deep sleep. Maybe wiggling fingers and toes and wrists and ankles. Maybe reaching overhead. Eventually bending one knee and the other as you ground both feet to your mat. And gently finding your way into fetal position, rolling over to your right side, letting your right arm cradle your head like a pillow. And just pause here for a breath or two as you prepare to transition. And then letting your head be heavy, press into the floor and begin to rise up to a seat and let your head be the last thing to come up. That thinking brain still relaxed, peaceful and calm. And then find a seat, and you can sit on a pillow, a block, a blanket. Find a place to sit. Maybe it's even in a chair. Wherever you sit, let your hands rest, palms down on your thighs or your knees. And just feel the solidity of your body beneath your hands. Feel the weight of your lower body resting on that solid surface. And as you allow that sense of anchoring, of being stable and solid beneath you allows the spine to elongate, to reach up to the skies above. Lift your heart slightly and let your shoulder blades slide down your back. And then draw the back of your head and the back of your ears up and back. You feel, although you're anchored, almost as though you were floating, that you are light. You no longer feel the heaviness of your day or your week. You feel light and buoyant, calm and peaceful. And know that you can come back to this space anytime, just by using your breath and your awareness and grounding through your physical body. Bring your hands gently to your heart center, drop your chin slightly, take a deep inhale and a slow exhale. And we'll Om together one time. So take a deep inhale, feel the vibration. Stay here for a moment, just feeling that sense of vibration of your own voice in your own chest. And then slowly let your eyes flutter open, keeping your gaze soft. Come back to your awareness of this space that you're in. Thank you for joining. Namaste.